have to believe when you can't, when you don't see no way how. You have to buckle down and keep believing. Because I know if I quit, it cannot happen. If you stay with it, you have no idea what can happen for you.
Hey, Faith and Focus family, thank you again so much for joining me. If it's your first time,
make some noise!
You already know what time it is.
I love it.
Grace, joy, and peace be multiplied. Today we are here with some special guests. I'm going to go ahead and introduce.
Smack. Just Smack. Just simple.
Just
Yeah.
Smack.
No, Sean Mack, but Smack. People call me Smack. So
Okay.
You know,
Y'all know him. Y'all have seen him plenty of times. But
Yep.
we have a new guest on our channel today.
Yes.
Michi.
What you say?
Michi.
Not Nietzsche.
So, Michi, tell us a little bit about yourself since this is your first time on the channel.
Yes.
Who are you?
Hi.
What you do?
My name is Michi. You can follow me on Instagram at Meech_Made_It. Also follow my business page. It's an upcoming nonprofit. It's called Tap Into You. Me and my partner Mia, we created this motivational platform where we, just want to motivate our community and just put on certain events and different events to, help pour into everyone.
When you guys get a chance, please go ahead and check out Michi's pages. Everything will be listed on the screen. If it's not listed on the screen, it will definitely be listed down below.
Yeah.
So now that we have introduced our friends to the channel, we are going to be discussing grief, overcoming grief, dealing with grief, just the different stages of grief. And as always, hopefully someone gets something out of this video. Hopefully someone is able to have a better day because of this video. And yeah, before I start rambling like y'all know I can do, let's go ahead and get it started. Just to give people a little bit of background on who we are and what ways we have dealt with grief. In 2019, my grandmother passed away, and then in 2020, my dad, which is her son, passed away. And for my grandmother, she was older, her health had been failing, so we kind of watched her deteriorate. So when she actually passed, it was not as shocking and as hurtful. But when my dad passed, it was extremely unexpected. We literally saw him the day before Thanksgiving, and then Thanksgiving morning he went into the hospital, and we literally never saw him again. Who wants to go next?
Ladies first.
Ladies first.
So my background, I lost my father when I was in high school, and this was in 2006, which I consider to be, I was fairly young, and that was probably my first time really experiencing death, really someone that was really close to me or someone that I was used to seeing. But just like Hope's grandma, he was in and out the hospital and he was sick, so it was something I'm expecting eventually, but of course wishing for the best. And sort of the same thing with my mom, but of course that was a little harder because me and my mom were super close. Like, that was my best friend. I talked to her every day, and she passed away in 2014. Right? Yes, 2014. And her health was declining, and she too was also in the hospital, and then she went to a hospice. So I was kind of prepared, but and I guess once we get a little deeper into it, I really wasn't prepared. But it didn't really take me by surprise. But of course, it still hurt the same. And then recently, I had a miscarriage, and that was also very hard because I never experienced that before. So that was also another time that I experienced grief and losing someone.
Kind of like Hope, same thing, 2019, her grandma passed away, and then in the fall time, my,
It was a month.
Oh, okay.
October and November.
No, you're right. So my mom originally got sick, probably a little bit during the summertime, like the end of summer going into the fall time. Kind of up and down. One minute, she's always been having heart issues and things like that, so she went to the hospital. At one point, they didn't think that she was going to make it. She ended up, making it. God had other plans and more time for her. So it was crazy because at that time, Hope was pretty much, going with me, but we were also still, helping her Nana and things. So it was kind of just crazy back and forth. All I know is we're worrying about my mom. Come to find out my grandmother's having heart issues that she never knew anything about, and she kept denying that she had heart problems. Got back from a vacation, and like Hope said, a month later, bam, I got a call, grandma passed away. And what's so crazy is 4 days later, my mom passed away right after her while we're planning my grandmother's funeral. So it was just crazy to me, because for you to actually say this months ago that I was supposed to go before my daughter goes, and literally it happens, but in a 4-day period. It was just, that was probably the toughest thing I've ever had to deal with.
We're going to take a quick break just to kind of regroup and make sure everybody's okay. Because again, this is going to be hopefully I can't say it's going to be a short video, because it's probably not going to be a short conversation. If we can't get through everything today, you know, we'll definitely do a part 2. But we are going to take just a quick break just to check in with everybody, make sure everybody's good. So we'll be right back. Alright guys, so we are back. We had a few quick laughs, you know, just to make sure we was getting through. And the most importantly, one thing I've learned through this process is making sure that we breathe. Because, yeah, just breathing through the process. So, the first question that I have for y'all is, initially, when you found out the news, what were some of the first emotions that y'all felt, that y'all experienced?
For me, both times, or just what I realized just in general dealing with death, my first response is always like shock, where it's like it's almost not real. It's almost like my brain haven't registered, and this is just in experiences. Of course, with the miscarriage, because that was like something that was physically happening to me. That was like a immediate response, of course, but like with my mom and my dad, when hearing the news, I just remember not being sad at first, but just really processing it.
And then after shock, what would you say your second and third emotion were?
So after shock, my dad, I didn't really feel sadness. That was still like a shock until the funeral.
Wow.
Yeah, until I actually was there at the funeral, and I seen him, of course, in the casket, and you know, people, cause funerals, just of course, you know, they always
They
bring
out
about emotion, and you know, you
Mm-hmm.
talking about their life and talking about the things they did for other people. Especially, it's not just me. I think what touches me too is just how like they touched other people. Like that always gets me. So with my dad, it was definitely during the funeral. With my mom, it was seeing her in the hospital, and knowing, because when I found out with my mom, we had to make the decision to let her go.
What about you? What was your first emotion when you found out the news?
I don't know, mine's a little different. I think for me, I won't say I was shocked. I think for me, it was more so being raised in church and kind of knowing the word and hearing that, you know, this is going to be your time. And then I think when grandma's, it could have just caught me off guard. I think if anything, it wasn't, I was emotional. It just caught me off guard.
Okay.
Once I saw her, like I physically went to the house because she was still there and I actually saw her, I was more so in shock, like wow. But then I think when I found out how it could have been avoided, I was pissed.
Yeah.
With my mom, because it happened so close together, me in my mind, I'm already thinking about grandma. I'm not even thinking about my mom. And it's just like, but when it happened, it was more so like, oh, wow. Like, I think I was just stuck. Like, oh, like this is like serious. And then my next emotion after that was, this was God's plan. Once I got to that, it was all she wrote. Like I didn't have any other emotions. And it's crazy because even, I remember you always used to say like, you didn't cry, you didn't break down. But no, I think for me, because I knew their walk and their relationship that they had with God and they prepared themselves, once it kind of like, I think God may have spoke to me and made me settle to understand that this is what needed to happen and how it needed to happen. Not only to help the family process, but also it was a journey that they had to do together. So, what about you?
So with my grandmother, when I got the news about my grandmother passing, I was at work. My first initial reaction was shock, but then my second one was relief. And I don't think the third feeling that I got was sadness. That was the three emotions of my grandmother. With my dad, totally different story. When they actually told us the news, I was angry. That was my first emotion, was anger. And then my second emotion was anger. And then my third emotion was anger and sadness mixed. Because, and I say that because, again, for him, it was unexpected.
Yeah.
He wasn't sick. Like, I literally had seen him the night before we get that call. And he had been in the hospital when it's during COVID. So at the time, the COVID cases were through the roof. So they were not letting anybody into the hospital. So I think that was the other reason that there was so much anger behind how I felt.
Yeah.
Because it was like, dang, okay, we know he is sick, but now we can't go see him. And I remember my mom saying, I hate the fact that we can't go see him because I don't want him to think that nobody's there with him. And that was the saddest thing ever.
Yeah.
All right, so Michi, where are you at in the grieving process?
Right now, I'm in the process of, I guess I could call it like understanding the difference between the flesh and the spirit, and knowing, and that's just, you know, from my experiences, because like I said, with my mom and my dad, those were like not, you know, those were expected, even though those were still very difficult, and I went through a grieving process. The miscarriage was a little harder because it was unexpected. That experience opened my mind spiritually because I was questioning God a lot. With the help of my therapist, she helped me understand that I can question God. Like, he can handle it. He can handle that. You know, I was a little upset with him.
Would you say you were angry at him?
Yes, I was angry. Yes, I was angry and upset because I didn't understand why he would bless me with something. And I felt so, even during the whole process of being pregnant, I felt God. Like, I've always been spiritual, but in that moment, like, I was really just feeling all the feels. And then I had the miscarriage, and I was like confused. Of course, you know, oh, it's me, you know, with everyone, you know, it's a lot of miscarriages that happen with females every day, but it just felt personal. You know what I mean?
Like a personal
right,
attack.
it was like a personal attack.
I can see that.
Yeah, so definitely was questioning God, and he was answering back, and so, you know, it helped me build a closer relationship with God, and so, you know, within that journey, it helped me kind of with the grieving process and understanding. Of course, I still have my struggles, and I'm still talking through it with my therapist. I was going through a period where, of course, being sad that my mom passed away, but as I was getting older, it was like getting more intense because, you know, I was like, I need her for this. I want her to be here. I want her to, she's the only person that gets me. And, you know, I went through a period of depression too, with just a lot of things that were going on. And I just really, really needed her, or felt like I needed her physically to be with me. But of course now, and where I'm at now, because the miscarriage was about a year ago, I guess I could say I'm in the period of understanding the difference between flesh, you know, us here on earth, and then the spiritual realm, and knowing that she's still here with me in general, you know, and she served her time here on earth, and now she's with God. You know, she did all she could do. She served her purpose.
And one thing that we always say, and you hear a lot, especially growing up in the church or whatnot, that to be absent in the flesh is to be present with the Lord. And so I really do truly feel like that is the most honest and truthful answer that somebody could give. during a time of grief, because in my opinion, this is just my opinion. Y'all don't come for me. Y'all don't be trying to come for me, because I know y'all girls like to tussle.
Y'all have to come for her, but y'all can come for me, okay? We can make some noise, okay? Look, bump that. What? That's how I just say what. I'm that friend. What? What you got? Me and me in the parking lot.
Right.
We go grab some lunch. That's how they do it on the Housewives. We can grab some lunch.
Talk about it in the public place.
But we definitely are experiencing hell on earth, in my opinion. I
Yeah,
definitely
you're right
think
about
that we
that,
are experiencing some of our last days, so we definitely want to be conscious in what we're going to be doing when God comes to find us, because when it's all said and done, God knows our final days. We don't know it, which is why experiencing death is so difficult, because we don't know when our last day on earth is, but God knows our beginning and our end. So we always have to be mindful of that. And God doesn't do anything to punish us. He's not that type of God. So I think this was an amazing conversation. Would you guys be open to coming back for a part 2?
No.
Absolutely.
I done made enough noise.
Our friends of the channel will be back for a part 2 of this video, and hopefully they'll be back for a few more videos. So again, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all already know that's it, and that's all, folks. We will see y'all in the next video, and remember to be you. That is your superpower.
That's your superpower.
Up and it's up and it's up and it's stuck. If it's up